Rod, welcome to the show, my man.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, buddy. It's good to see you again, my friend.
Guys, if you don't know Rod, you're living under a rock. This guy has been around the multifamily world for a long time, runs the number one multifamily podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate. Man, you've interviewed just like everyone, like the biggest names, the smallest names, including me. So pumped to have you here to talk about multifamily investing, what it takes. And Rod, I know we've chatted about, we want to get in your story and things, but
hmm
I think right now we're entering into a period of time where probably for the first time in our industry of multifamily syndication, there's going to be consolidation. And I want to help our listeners figure out what we need to do to set up ourselves mindset wise, business wise, to persevere. And so that
Sure.
could be the theme of the show today, man. I think
Okay.
we get a lot of value out of that. But let's get into for those who don't know who Rod is, a little bit about kind of your backstory, man, into this business.
Well, I'm going to take you way back because it'll lend credibility and framework to what you want to talk about today. So I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Netherlands, think wooden shoes and windmills. And so I immigrated when I was 6 years old. My brother Albert, my mother's Vansha, and we ended up in Denver, Colorado, and we really didn't have much growing up. We really struggled. In fact, I remember eating expired food. We shopped at an expired food store, drinking powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk, and wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally got disgusted and lied about my age when I was 14 at Burger King because I was tall, flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes and then ultimately buy a car. But, I'm sure you've got listeners who had it harder than I did, or than we did. But, I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She actually invested in the stock market successfully and IPOs, and she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was a kind of a pivotal experience for me because it was a house right across the street. She bought it when I was 14 for about $30,000. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that it had gone up in value that much. And I'm like, what? And by the way, we just sold that house, I don't know, last year for $375,000, just to give you some perspective. But this is in Denver. But anyway, you made $20,000, you didn't do anything. So I got into real estate when I was 18. I actually got my real estate broker's license. Still lived at home, made about $8,000 my first year, made about $10,000 my second year. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was pretty good money. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy, I was actually dating his daughter, that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is just that, your mindset and psychology. And fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. I thought I was a freaking real estate god. I thought I could do no wrong. And, when that happens, God will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008 for me. I lost that 17 million, a lot more. I lost $50 million in 2008. And so what I'm known for talking about on my podcast, which is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. And then maybe as important and more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from losing $50 million, to the success that I'm blessed to have today. And I think it's a real timely topic as it relates to what we're heading into, because I'm going to tell you, Ellis, we are heading into some pain. It is going to get ugly, and anybody that tells you otherwise is naive. We're going to have some hurt in this country, and it's going to be sad. That said, with crisis comes opportunity, and there will absolutely be opportunity in what's coming. And so, in all of this, there are some strategies around success that I'm happy to elaborate on, because if you're listening to this show, you're very likely a leader. And as a leader, and right now the world needs leaders more than ever. And as a leader, your focus is critical. And, it's so easy to get caught up in all the baloney that's in the news right now. And most of it is just that baloney. They put that stuff out there. It's supposed to be there to inform us, but it's really just to startle us and to scare us. And so as a leader, it's super important that you stand guard at the, really the entrance to your mind, that you bring in the good stuff and not get sucked into that negative stuff. Because whatever you focus on is going to get larger, both positive or negative. I get people call me and say, how do I get out of student loan debt? And I say, wrong question. How do you make so much money that the debt's irrelevant? They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. Right? Kind of just a play on words, but it's focus, and your focus is so absolutely important right now. As we move into what's coming, one of the, you've got to create what Napoleon Hill calls a burning desire in his book, Think and Grow Rich. You've got to really want it. You've got to have that hunger. Okay. Because, again, as things get ugly and painful, it's going to be real easy to focus on that. It would have been real easy for me to focus on losing $50 million. And to have it become my identity or my story. I just use it for illustrative purposes now. It's definitely not who I am, but I use it to teach. And so as things get ugly, it's going to be very important for you to, be very clear on what you want and why you want it. If you ever come to one of my boot camps, the first thing we do, the first hour and a half, is goal setting on steroids. Because again, how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You've got to know what it is you want to create that burning desire. And that's burning desire is what you need to push through that fear that's going to be, out there. It's already there. A lot of people are already in fear, or they have limiting beliefs, or maybe they're comfortable. And the comfort zone's a nice warm place. And Ellis, you and I both know nothing grows there, right? And as it relates to limiting beliefs, when I immigrated to this country, I didn't speak English. And my mom, proud Dutch woman that she was, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. So I got my butt kicked on a regular basis. And then they'd chase me home from school, the bullies, and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day, a butt kicking. And I came up with this belief that I wasn't good enough. And I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And that's a limiting belief. And a lot of people have those, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough, old enough, young enough, have enough money, have enough time. So many of these, there's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are just that, BS. But, you've got to push through those. And that's that burning desire that'll help you do that. So that's the first piece. Get clear on what you want and why you want it. Create that burning desire, and then you've got to make a decision. Okay. And, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. It means if you're going to attack the island, you're burning your ships because you're taking their ships home. That's a decision. It's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. It's total commitment. It's done. When you make that decision, it's done. And that's a real decision. And so you've got to make a decision, and then you commit with 100% commitment, because again, and this is the progress. You start with what you want, why you want it. You create that burning desire. You make that decision, and then you've got to take that first step. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, and then the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu, 1,000 years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you've got to take it. And, the analogy that I give my analytical students, because they're the ones that usually have to check off every box before they make a move. And the analogy I give them is, you can drive all the way across the United States at night with your car headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you can make it. Other people have made it. You may have some obstacles, you may have some setbacks, but it can be done. It's the same way with your goals or any endeavor that you go after. But you've got to take that first step, and sometimes that can be the biggest step of your life. The other thing that's going to be super important is to have positive expectation and optimism in what's coming. As human beings, we focus on pain. We actually even connect through pain. And it's the craziest thing. Ellis, you're pretty evolved, so not you, but if say someone came up to me and said, hey, Rod, how you doing? I said, oh my God, I'm fantastic. Life is amazing. I'm so blessed. And, then they'd probably take a step back and say, Rod's off his meds. But if you came up to me and said, how you doing? I said, oh God, my back is killing me. I just lost 20,000 in the market. They put their arm around you and say, oh, I feel you, brother, because we connect through pain. It's the craziest thing. Right. And so, positive expectation is super important. And when you decide what it is you want, you declare it, God will conspire and help you to make it happen. Right. So,
So let me ask you a question real quick, Rod, to pause on this, because I think this is amazing. But when you lose $50 million in so much, and you lose something, and I know back then I've heard your story many times, you didn't just lose 50 million. You felt like you lost an identity.
Oh,
right?
no question. And
And
that's a really good point. I'm sorry, continue. I want to talk
well,
about
I just want to connect that because not everyone listening to the show can connect to I lost $50 million, but they can connect to
the amount doesn't matter, but they can connect to possibly losing your identity. You're absolutely right. Now, here's the thing to remember, guys. You never allow your vehicle to be your identity. Okay. Because my vehicle was real estate. If that was my identity, then I failed, not the vehicle failed. So very, very important that you don't identify with the vehicle. Super important. Let me tell you, there is no greater force in the human psyche than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. Okay. And so and anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. And if you look in my exercise room or even my office here, I will show you, I've got signs on the wall that say, I am the best in the world at what I do. I am success. I am a business genius. And these aren't like braggadocious statements. These are what I'm aspiring to evolve into. And so I yell that stuff. I am focus. I am determination. I am health and energy. And it's really funny. My kids help me at my boot camps. And that's the question they get more often than anything. Does he really yell that stuff? Is that real? And they're like, oh yeah, we grew up with that stuff because it works. When you do that and you say, I am whatever it is that you want to embody, and you do it enough with enough energy and force, it gets in the fiber of your being. It gets into your psyche and you own it. And so I'm really glad you brought up identity. That's a really important piece. Once you make that decision, you take that first step, then like I said, your focus is super critical, because wherever your focus goes, your energy is going to flow. And like I said, whatever your focus on gets bigger.
let me ask you this though, man, stay on that theme for 1 second. Okay. So putting yourself in that position, and I'm thinking of some couple of people right now who have had a burning desire for something, but faced such a hurdle or lost it. And the burning desire, because you had it to get to 50, but then you lost it.
Right.
For you, did it go away? And then how did you rebuild
good question.
it?
Good question. Well, it's really exactly this formula that I'm talking about right now. I reassociated with my goals.
That's good.
I had to do that first. I had to reassociate. And, what is it that I want? And why do I want it? And so that was the first step. And then I had to make a decision. Okay, get out of my pity party, pull myself up on my bootstraps, stop whining, and go make it happen again. And that's what I did. I made a decision. Then I took massive freaking action. Okay, that's my catchphrase, massive freaking action, because action mitigates fear. Okay, it's counterintuitive. You take action, enough action, and the fear is gone. It just is. But you got to take that action. That's how I did it, buddy. And then I stayed focused on what I wanted. It would have been, again, real easy to bemoan the $50 million loss. People killed themselves for losing that much back in the 08-09 crisis, and in the, proportionate amount in the Great Depression. They jumped off buildings. I had to just get really clear on what I wanted and reassociate with that. And then, and then pay attention to my focus. I will tell you, the most successful people on the planet are the ones that have the highest degree of focus, their ability to focus. And I'll give you an example of this. On my podcast, I'm super excited. We broke 14 million downloads, which is really quite extraordinary for as niched of a podcast as mine is. But I listened to a podcast called Tim Ferriss. I'm sure you've heard of his. He gets 14 million a week. And so that's why I brought that up. But he interviews the best of the best in the different walks of life. Like he had Mark Zuckerberg on, CEOs of big companies like that, athletes like Michael Phelps and NBA, NFL players, billionaires like Ray Dalio, actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, Jamie Foxx. And I started to hear, and he deconstructs their success. He digs in and how they achieve their success. And I started to hear a pattern, Ellis. They almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? And so focus is hugely important. The next piece is, and you can stop me anytime. I've got it. There's like a list of these things that are just critical. These are like success habits, success strategies. The next one is play to your strengths, especially in the multifamily business, because the multifamily business is a team sport and a lot of different hats you can wear in this business. You can be the one that finds the deals. You can be the one that does investor relations and raises money. You can be the one that underwrites the deals if you love spreadsheets. You can be, if you're project management or management experience, you could be the asset manager and manage the asset after you buy it. A lot of hats you can wear, but you need to play to your strengths, because your strengths are your greatest assets. Don't try to maximize your weaknesses. Focus on and build your strengths, and then you align, hire, or partner for your weaknesses. And I will tell you, some of the best partnerships I see in this multifamily game that I play is an introverted person with an extroverted person, an analytical person with somebody that's outgoing. Man, they kill it. And so, figure out what you're strong at, and whatever your strengths are, something you're going to love. And if you love it and you're playing in your strengths, you're going to have passion. And I'm going to tell you, in any business, to influence people, you've got to have passion. And the only way you're going to have that passion is if you're doing what you love. And if you're doing what you love as well, and you're playing to your strengths, you never work another day in your life. I'm going to be doing a freaking Facebook Live at 7:00 tonight instead of with my beautiful wife because I love it. I just love it. And so that passion comes from loving what you do, and then having, like I said, having the ability to influence. And you're doing what juices you and inspires you. And of course, that when you're doing that, it breeds creativity and innovation and really minimizes or even eliminates fear. The next piece is your peer group.
Let me stop you real quick.
Sure.
For those who are trying to kind of build themselves back up, I want to put us in a different room for a moment, though. Okay. Because I know you talk to those who are beginning, but I also know that you spend a lot of time with the elite, right? Like elite members, elite multifamily investors, elite business operators.
Sure.
And I was just having a conversation. I saw the Fed rose interest rates by another 75 basis points today, right before we got on this call. And so I want to put us in a different room, a different table. We're sitting now with not guys who need to be inspired. Like you're talking to me, you're talking to my colleagues, you're talking to the guys in your elite program. Yep. Like we don't need, like we have the passion.
I hear what you're saying. You don't need to be pushed.
Exactly.
But you got to pay attention to what you're focused on. Same thing still applies. Because
the reason I want this is because I feel like a lot of guys like me, I'm going to just put myself in the shoe, we haven't had a ton of resistance in the last couple of years.
No.
But man, I see it coming, and I want to know if you're sitting at a table with these guys, how does the conversation change?
It's the same freaking messaging, okay? Because you're gonna hit a wall. I'm just telling you, if you haven't already, the wall, it has dropped. I mean, we just went from 3.2% interest to 5.2% on this asset we have under contract in Nashville right now that we're raising $18 million for. Screaming deal, but we had to go 60% loan to value, and we got 10-year fixed debt, but it's 5.2 instead of 3.2. But even with that, we've got double-digit cash on cash returns and fantastic IRR, 22% AAR. I mean, just great, fantastic returns. But first of all, we had to kiss a lot of frogs to find that deal. But there are going to be operators sitting at this table that did bridge debt this last year or two. And they're freaking out a little bit because even if they have a rate cap of 2%, a 2% rate bump is a big deal on an asset size that we buy, Ellis, as you know. And some of them didn't have rate caps. And some of them have short terms on their maybe 3-year. Some of them did 3-1-1. But I'm going to tell you, and a lot of these new operators were aggressive on their exit cap rates, and what I'm talking about here, guys, is you have to determine what the cap rate's going to be when you try to refinance or sell. And I'm going to tell you, if you look at a graph back in 2008 and 9, and you look at the interest rate, you look at interest rates, and you have and you look at cap rates, it paralleled interest rates. Okay, and interest rates are going up like crazy. You just turned 75 basis points today, like you said. That's like the third time that's had that big of a bump. It's a huge bump, but cap rates are going to go up too. And you want to know the definition of a bad day. A bad day is having a cash flowing asset that's beautiful and your debt's due, like you've got bridge debt that's due, and you can't get the value you need to refinance or sell. That's a bad day. And I think that could be coming. I really do. And I got to tell you, I think we're going to see some real pain either right before or right after the midterms. I think they're holding back, and I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time, but I don't think so. I think with this inflation and this gas and this insane administration, we won't go political, but anyway, I think we're headed for some pain, Ellis. I don't know how you feel, but I think we are.
Well, to that, it doesn't matter how I feel. My question is, I want to know to go back to your question of focus, is the focus for you, Rod, is it on, do I continue to have a focus of optimism and expansion? Do you go in defensive mode?
Okay, good question. Good question. Yeah, sorry. Good question. No, I'm super excited because there will be deals. There will be extraordinary deals. The biggest money is made in a downturn. And, depending upon the severity of that downturn will depend on how much money is made. And finding the deals isn't going to be, that's been the problem the last 2 years. That's not going to be the problem moving forward. It's going to be finding the money. I'm pre-framing my investors to get ready. I'm in a lot of cash right now. I hate it because it's, getting eaten up every month with this freaking ridiculous inflation. But But no, I mean, it's time to get excited. If you've ever thought about getting into this multifamily business, now is the time. I mean, don't wait. Learn it right now. I've got a virtual boot camp coming up October 15th and 16th. If you DM me on any social channel, you can come for $97. The price will be about $400 here soon, probably I think at the end of this week, but you can come for $97. I don't sell anything there. It's literally 2 full days of training, nothing being sold, for $97. So it's kind of a no-brainer. You just have to let me know you heard me on Ellis's podcast. Okay. If you DM me, and you can come for $97. And like I said, awesome. It's drinking through a fire hose. I'm going to tell you that. Bring your A game. I've never had a complaint other than the breaks are too short, because I do 15-minute breaks every couple hours. And I promise you they're harder on me than there are on you. But yeah, we go full on. But it's every part of this business. But see, here's the thing. I don't care if you learn from me, but don't wait. If you're thinking multifamily, learn right now, because if we're in the thick of it, it's going to be too late. You need to be building your relationships now. You need to be learning how to evaluate deals now and getting up to speed now, so you can capitalize on what's coming, because it's coming. I'm just telling you. I'm some of my confederates in my boardroom. I have a mastermind called the Multifamily Boardroom. Some of those operators don't think it's going to be that bad. I do. I really do. And so, we'll see if I'm right or they're right. But I just found out there are 22 million families, households in this country that are behind on their utility bills. 22 million households. Okay. Foreclosures are going to be rampant. Okay. They haven't been there. I've got a friend I had lunch with today that's in the foreclosure rescue business, and they're exploding at the seams. Foreclosures are going to be rampant. People, can't afford gas and food right now. And I'm just telling you the what's going to hit the fan. I'm just telling you it is. So,
but I love your fault there. There's still, for those who keep their focus on opportunity and growth and expansion, there are things out there, right? There is the capitalist mindset of there are opportunities to grow.
Sure. But you operate with integrity. You do it with integrity. But these properties are going to need to be bailed out, and the people with money or resources and connections are the ones that are going to be able to do that. And so, but again, you keep your integrity intact when you're doing this. That's our number one core value. But I am getting excited. I mean, yeah, there's some fear too, because I do think it's going to be pretty ugly. But I do want to circle back to something I was going to start talking about, and that is who you hang out with, because peer group is so super important, as you know, Ellis. And I mean, show me your 3 best friends. I'll show you who you are, every aspect of your life, your relationships, your health, your finances, for sure. And you want to be very careful who you're around right now, especially through what's coming, because there will be people that will be fearful anyway. But if they project that fear onto you, if project those limiting beliefs onto you, try to hold you back, that can debilitate your ability to take advantage of what's coming. And sometimes it's family. I'm going to tell you, love your family, but proactively choose your peers. Most people default to people they work with or went to school with for their peers, and they may not be the best choice. So that's probably the most important decision.
That is something everyone can change. Like, everyone can choose that. And I love that idea, is that, like, regardless of where you're at, financial, whatever, you can choose who you hang out with.
You want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. Yeah, that's why I started my mastermind. Yeah, that's why I started my mastermind. It's called the Multifamily Boardroom, and there's about, it's probably about 14 to 16 billion in assets in there now. In fact, we're meeting here in a few weeks here in Sarasota, because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. And so, get in a group like that. If you come to my boot camp, we'll connect you with the group. We've got a closed Facebook group. But regardless.
Last question. I want to ask you one more thing, man, real quick before we go. What's it like? Because I do appreciate how you do share things. Grant Cardone is a mentor of mine. And I love how he gives me a vision of what's possible. I see your stuff, man. You have the beautiful wife. You get to enjoy life. You've made it to a point in life where, like, you're really living out a lot of people's visions of what they want. What's it like, man? Is it worth it? Like, that's the question, right? Like, all the stuff.
But here's what I live for. Okay. You can see behind the wall here, you can't even see behind my green screen. I have literally probably, 500 thank you cards from people whose lives have been impacted by my work. And I'm sure you get feedback like that too, Ellis, because you're adding value as well. And I'm addicted to it. I mean, who wouldn't be? When I tell you, I get a lot of haters too, oh, you own 800 houses, you suck, and you should, nobody should be allowed to own that much real estate and blah. I get literally every day, but I get so much love too. I get, people whose lives have been impacted. I get cards, I get gifts, I get DMs, I get emails. I mean, I could literally go on my phone and find 5 or 6 of them here you go. They're thanking me for a book I sent them, but I literally on my phone, I get a dozen a day. So that's the part I love, brother. Yes, I have a supermodel, beautiful wife. Yes, I don't hate that either. She's more beautiful on the inside than the outside, and we love to travel, and we live in a beautiful home here. And life is fantastic. We have everything we want. I'm actually reassociating with my goals again right now, because it's like, what's the next level? Grant Cardone, go buy a jet or a helicopter or whatever. I don't know. When you're enjoying what you're doing, that's the most important piece. It really is. When you enjoy what you do, you never work another day in your life, and work is play. And that's where I'm at right now. And so that's the part that's important. A lot of people think they want to go retire on a beach somewhere, and that's boring. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, that's what's critical. And so if you don't love what you're doing right now, for God's sakes, don't be in the same place you are now a year from now, unless you absolutely love where you are right now. So, pick your vehicle, and maybe it's not multifamily, maybe it's single family, but if that is, then go learn that. If maybe it's buying businesses, there's going to be businesses to buy in this downturn as well. Go learn that. Maybe it's buying crypto. I don't know, think about that, but maybe there'll be opportunity there. That I don't know, but pick your vehicle right now, learn it right now, so you can capitalize on what's coming.
Well, I think what you said is key, man. This is probably one of my biggest motivations. People ask me what motivates me. I say, I don't want to be in the same spot I am today a year from now. Like, yeah. I'm scared of that. Like, yeah. That literally wakes me up of like, let's change, because I sure as heck don't want to be in this position a year from now. Right. And so, or where I'm at today a year from now. And so I think that's a great word. And
if you're interested in the boot camp, text my name, Rod, to 72345, and you'll get the link. It's multifamilybootcamp.com. We'll send you that link. And then, I'll just say it publicly here. Just use the code RODFRIEND to get that $97 price.
There it is, Rod Friend. You can be Rod Friend right now,
72345. But text Rod to 72345, and just remember the code RODFRIEND to get that $97 price. And again, I don't sell anything there. It's just 2 days of training.
Is it in Colorado?
Denver? No, it's virtual, man. It's virtual. Yeah, it's virtual. You do it at home, bud. Do it in your underwear on your laptop, man. And it's live. You can ask me questions live. It's 2 full days of training. I mean, the manual's this thick. Okay. I mean, it's not fluffy. It is, like I said, drink through a fire hose. But anyway,
thanks, brother. Text Rod 7. Tell me the number again.
Text Rod to 72345, or go to multifamilybootcamp.com.
Got it, guys. Man, the myth, the legend, Rod Khleif. Thank you, brother, for joining us today.
Good to see you, my friend.